The Lancaster bomber was probably the best experience I've ever had at Channel, to be quite honest. Very memorable. Probably the most famous bomber in the world, and we get to have a couple of laps around the island in it. The noise was phenomenal. At one stage we were just running up the engines outside the Aero Club, and I actually shouted up to Roy, the cameraman, to say, have we taken off yet? I mean, the whole thing was roaring with noise, bouncing up and down on the ground. Obviously the Lancaster bomber's not like a modern aircraft, it's not fly-by-wire, and you can see as we flew down the runway at Jersey Airport, the pilot actually throwing the wheel from left to right to try and keep the aircraft straight and level. We did quite a few highway specials because Harry Seacombe liked working with us, and we were a small team, which made it much easier for those sort of trips. So we did things like a day trip to Rovaniemi, to Father Christmas Land, a special remembrance from the Normandy landing beaches, Mont Saint-Michel, and of course the Falkland Islands, which we obviously had a strong connection with anyway. At that time there was still a man-made runway in Stanley, a steel runway, and the aircraft landed using arrestor gear as you would on an aircraft carrier, which was very spectacular close up. But at one stage we stood just on the edge of the runway and a Hercules took off and its wingtip literally passed just over our heads, at which point our cameraman Tim got blown away from the camera, and the noise was just phenomenal. They discovered the wreck of the Asterix in the harbour entrance in Guernsey, and obviously we thought, it'd be nice to get some pictures of this. At that time, hiring in a proper underwater camera, broadcast quality, from the UK was going to cost tens and tens of thousands of pounds. So being Channel, a little bit short of cash, we decided we'd go out and make one. We found a gentleman at Springside who specialised in fiberglassing, and he created this monstrously huge underwater housing which took the camera and the record equipment, loads of lead acid batteries, a monitor, brought out all the switchwork so you could operate this thing from the outside, and we ended up with this huge beast which weighed a ton. It took two people just to pick it up before you put it in the water, but we got some beautiful pictures out of it. We visited HMS Jersey twice, once up in Rosyth at her base and then down in the Channel on fishery protection. At one point we saw a helicopter buzzing around and we suggested to the captain maybe it would be a good idea if we could get some shots of his ship. So he called up the local station, and the next day a Sea King arrived, winched us up off the rear deck, and then we flew around HMS Jersey getting some beautiful shots of her at sea.